Okay, so let's talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, which is balance, right? Balancing business and family. Now, some people think that balance is not even possible. So I'd love to know what you think about that.
Okay. I love the phrase like work-life balance. I love the word balance. It doesn't bother me one bit. I always go back to I always go back to the dictionary. All right. All right, before I talk about the dictionary thing right here, I think when people think of balance, right, you think about a scale with two sides. And if things aren't balanced, things go like this
Mm-hmm.
or that, right? And that's uncomfortable because it almost feels like something's going to take over because it weighs more. Um, there is a definition in the dictionary, and I didn't pull it up, so I can't quote it right now, but it has nothing to do with things being 150%, like 50-50, completely equal. It has to do with how things flow harmoniously. So it doesn't have to be in equal proportions per se. It's about um, does each thing have the piece it needs for you to enjoy it and
Mm-hmm.
succeed in it in that moment? And so for me, when I think about that, it comes back to priorities. Like we're going to shift priorities all the time, depending on what's going on in our world. So like, for example, um, my husband's deployed. He's not, but like example here, my husband's deployed, right? So my priorities are going to shift in a big way. He comes home, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
shift again. We go to a new duty station, they're going to shift again. My kids get older or they get into an activity that they hadn't been in. My priorities are going to shift again. Either I'm building my business or I'm thriving in my business. You get the point.
Right.
Let's not beat a dead horse. You get the point. They're always going to change. And so if you look at it kind of like almost like a pie chart, right? Everything in your life needs a
Mm-hmm.
little piece of the pie. It's got to fit in there. And when you're prioritizing the things that need the most attention right now, you're shifting. There's this piece gets a little bit more, this piece gets a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more, this piece gets a little bit less. But it all makes up everything that you need your life to be in this moment to be harmonious and to flow well.
Right.
To me, that is work-life balance. If you hate it, you hate it. Like I'm not here, I'm here to like shine a little light on it, right? Balance doesn't mean 50-50. It means flow. It means harmony. But if you still
Mm-hmm.
hate it, so oh, work-life harmony, work-life integration, those work just as well. It all means the same thing. Are you flowing in a way that feels good to you? Does everything feel harmonious? And if not, then you look at your priorities. And then
Right.
you allow yourself to not this goes, I'm always going to go into the mindset work here. And then a lot of times into the somatic body work too. But I'm always going to go back to if you're not prioritizing the things that in a way that make your day and your weeks flow and feel good to you, why? What's blocking you from doing that? And a lot of the times it's not
Right.
necessarily about the know-how and prioritizing. That's relatively simple. That's not, to put anybody down. If that's nothing you've ever done, that's totally work that could work through. Um, But if you're like, yeah, I know that needs more of my attention. I just don't feel
Mm-hmm.
good about giving it my attention. It feels selfish. I feel guilty. Then there's definitely inner
Right.
work there to help you figure out what the priorities need to be and how to make that flow in your day and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree because I look at it as a pie, right? Like if you've done like coaching and stuff, they have the circle of life
Mhm.
exercise where you just go through and and kind of prioritize. And I think that that's important because a lot of women especially strive for that 50-50 balance, and they feel like if they haven't achieved that, then they have failed. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not true.
Yeah. So you change your definition of what work-life balance is, or you don't use work-life balance. That's cool because I love it. You don't have to love
Right.
it. So what do you like? Work-life flow? Cool. How do we make that happen for you? Right? Just-
I like to say balance. I think the
I
balance
did,
is fine.
I do too. I just know that's one of those
It's the
phrases right now.
definition,
People love it
right?
or they hate it. And folks go nuts when you're like work-life balance and you just like get in any, post on Facebook or whatever and read the comments, and people like, balance is BS. There's no such thing as work-life balance. It's a myth, this and that. Like, it's, if that's the way you feel about it, it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not here to change your mind, but there are other ways to look at it. There's always other ways to look at everything, but there's another way to look at that. So if it's stressing you to think that, it has to be equal, it doesn't.
Mm.
You can
No, it
remove that
doesn't. I
stress. It
mean,
doesn't have to be equal.
I put so much time into my business, way more than I probably should, way more than anything else, but I still feel like I have balance because I'm able to spend time with my kids, my friends, my family, go to the gym every day, like make good choices. And ultimately, the thing that I do the most is work, which I think a lot of us do, right? Like we work a lot. So I don't think there's any way that we could, especially if we're working, how can you create that balance when you have so many things that you need to accomplish with work? Like even if you're working a 9 to 5, that takes up most of your time because you have to get up, you have to get dressed, you have to drive to work, then you have to do the work, then you have to go back home, drive back home, and then that's when you're able to like step into that other I guess weighted option.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's where people are getting stuck, is I can't make everything equal. Don't. You're not
Mhm.
supposed to. I can't imagine
Right.
what that would look like and how much stress that would bring trying to make everything complete, like just perfectly equal. It's so much. That's not what
Well,
it's
and
about.
there's so much different, there's so many different things that go into the life category, right? Like everything outside of work is life related, I guess. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
but then
understand the
even that,
analogy.
right? Like when you get wrapped up in life, what does that mean? Like, okay, so there's things that we need to do for our families, like especially of kids. They're reliant upon us. We had the kids, we are responsible for them. I hope everybody's on board with
Right.
that part. We've got to love them, nurture them, feed them, all the things. We got to make sure that they're cared for. They're definitely always going to be a priority. Um, but then that's not to say that because they are important and because they rely on us and because we are their, you know, who's responsible for them, that's the only other thing in life that's important. You've got to figure out what else is important for you, like that self-care piece that I talk about all the dang time. If you don't make that a
Right.
priority, then you're definitely going to feel out of balance. So
Yeah. And,
yeah, there's
different times of your life, you have different priorities. So, like,
yeah,
to your point, I think it's just prioritizing things in order to create that feeling of balance.
yeah.